Hi everyone, I'm Sumant and I'm happy to be back with the second series of Sunday Shloka. A very warm welcome. At the outset, I'm very grateful to all of you for your generous praise and appreciation right through the first series of Sunday Shloka. If you love my videos and you like Sunday Shlokas, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on this video. Do subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends. This series starts with the most fascinating and intriguing subject, the mind, the fountainhead of all thinking. A subject on which there's been so much study and research, and it's ongoing, and there's so much more to be discovered. From there, we'll move on to the area of emotions like anger and fear, which arise from the mind. Then there are shlokas about qualities that build character, like integrity, courage, congruence, and so on. And finally, there are shlokas for children to draw inspiration from. Today's shlok is from the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna is explaining to Arjun about conquering the mind and the path leading to that state through the practice of yoga like Karma Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, among others. So let's explore and understand the mind. The idea of conquering one's mind might seem to be daunting and overwhelming. Is this even possible, one might ask, and say, hey, this is not for me, or I don't think I can do this? Well, it might not be so daunting or overwhelming as we'll see later. We'll together explore how we might be able to control and befriend our minds. So let's see what the shlok says. बंधुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जीतः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मवैव शत्रुवत्. Let's understand the first line. बंधुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जीतः. The first word is an amalgamation of four words. The first part being bandhuhu, meaning friend. The second word is atma, that is the mind. The third is atmanaha, that is of the living entity or of the person. And the fourth part is tasya, which is of him. The second word is again formed of four parts. The first part being yena, meaning by whom. The second is atma, that is the mind. The third part is aiva, which means certainly. And the fourth part is atmana, meaning by the person. The third word is jitaha, meaning conquered. Put together, this line means for a person who's been able to conquer his mind by himself, the mind is the best of friends. Now the second line. Anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmavaiva shatruvat. The first word comprises two parts. The first part being anatmanaha, meaning a person who has failed to conquer the mind. And the second part is tu, meaning but. The second word is shatrutve, which means because of enmity. The third word is again an amalgam of two parts. The first part being varteta, meaning continues to be or remains. And the second part is atmaiva, meaning the very mind. The last or fourth word is shatruvat, meaning as an enemy. Put together, this line means that but for the person who has failed to conquer the mind, his mind will remain his greatest enemy. So in its entirety, the shlok says, for a person who's been able to conquer his mind, the mind is his best friend. However, for a person who has failed to do so, his mind will remain his greatest enemy. When we say conquering the mind, a practical interpretation for our everyday lives could mean having much more control over our thoughts, particularly the harmful ones. Let's identify some intrusive thoughts or thinking patterns which we want to control better. I have a list of 10 and there could be more. Number 1 is procrastination. Number 2 is overthinking. At number 3 is incorrect interpretations. Number 4 is unwarranted anticipation. Number 5 is unhappy or sad thoughts. Number 6 is thoughts that make us angry. Number 7 are thoughts that create anxiety and fear. Number 8 are thoughts of envy and jealousy. At number 9 are thoughts of lust and desire. And at number 10 are impulsive thoughts. You'd agree that almost all of these have an adverse effect on our mental and physical well-being. Any of these thinking patterns could lead us to taking actions which have harmful consequences and outcomes. So how might we rewire our brains, the neural pathways as they are known, to break these thinking patterns, to gain more control, and to befriend our minds? But before that, a word about the brain and the mind. The brain, as we all know, is an organ, and the mind is something more abstract. However, the mind resides in the brain, and the two together are the generator of thoughts. So here are 5 strategies to make your mind your best friend. The first strategy is don't suppress the thought. Instead, divert your attention away from it with an engaging activity. For me personally, playing my guitar and singing works like magic. For some of you, it may be reading or gardening, anything that engages your thoughts. The second strategy is based on a presupposition from neurolinguistic programming which says the map here is not the territory. It means recognizing the difference between thought and reality. The thought may not necessarily be a sign of things to come. So just let the thought pass through. Accept it as just another thought. Strategy number 3, identify the triggers for the thought. So what works for me is to write down a negative thought as soon as possible and then identify the trigger. The fourth strategy is to monitor patterns. When you write down thoughts and triggers, you are likely to observe repetitions. These can help you to identify patterns in thinking. The fifth strategy is meditation. One could start with just a few minutes of practice and gradually increase the duration. What it entails is sitting in a quiet place in an upright position and focusing our attention on our breath. When we do so, our parasympathetic nervous system starts functioning. We feel calm and it brings the mind and body to a state of peace and rest. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmavaiva shatruvat. So in its entirety, the shlok says, for a person who's been able to conquer his mind, the mind is his best friend. However, for a person who has failed to do so, his mind will remain his greatest enemy. So I want to know how these strategies are working for you. So don't forget to share your comments in the comments section.